Hey there, Rythmia family. I'm going to make sure you can hear me this day. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. It is Kim, Stanwood Terranova, and I'm right here to be with you this Saturday. I'm so happy to be with you. I'm going to bless us. I'm just inspired to bless us. And then we're jumping into our wonderful conversation today, our Rythmia conversation. When you jump on, please, there, hi Karen. Yes, say hi, tell me where you're at. I want to know where you're at. So let me bless us quickly and let's go for a ride in Rythmia land. How grateful I am on this day, this moment, to stand in the full awareness that our life is pure magnificence. And as we lean into the power and the presence of all that is, we allow that magnificence to shine through us in every conversation, every willingness to open our hearts and see anew. We allow more space for our light to shine. So I bless everyone here today. I bless Rythmia. I bless our beautiful Rythmia. I bless that we are there in spirit and body and form as soon as possible, and we are dancing in the field of awareness and awakened consciousness with every breath we take. Grateful to begin again. And so it is. Amen. Hello, Jimmy. Hello, Karen. Hello, Rudolph. Hello, hello. Nice to see you here. Tell me if I've met you at Rythmia, if I get to see you here on Saturdays and Fridays on the Our Love channel. Hi, Marie. Absolutely. There's lots more blessings always. Speaking of blessings, if you have been with me at Rythmia, you know that that's my way of beginning every class and finishing every class, and is saying big blessings and prayers at the beginning and end of class, and as well as very often before individuals go into ceremony. I tend to stand outside and do blessings on the way in so that there's more spaciousness in the heart and willingness to just melt into the ceremony itself. So blessings are always in overflow. Speaking of blessings, as I was starting to say, I want to talk to you today about hanging out in the observation deck. I've been having a lot of conversations with clients, and last night with a large group of people that I met at Rythmia, we gathered on a Zoom, and we were discussing where we're all at right now. Like, where are we at? What is possible to move through this time in human history with more consciousness, and what are our practices to do so? So what was so good is to really open the door wide of that conversation. And what always comes up for me when it was asked of me was that, I know, there's a few more people I want to say hi to. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Charlene. Is that when we can stay in our practice in the midst of the circumstances that are occurring in life, then our practice is what lifts us through the circumstances that are occurring in life. But to stay in our practice, and each of us has our own individual beautiful practice, and when you're at Rythmia, we go over quite a few different ones to really just enhance all of our practices. It's something that when someone says to me, what is your practice, Kim? What is it now? And how was it when you first started this? And how is it now? My practice is ever evolving. And it always includes certain things, and then it expands with more. There's always prayer and blessing, as I started our time today. There's always meditation every day. There's always great spiritual content of reading. There's always study. And intention work is my guiding light, that I'm setting intentions, teaching about intentions every day, and watching the power of us creating consciously when we're living an intentional life. So as I started to talk about this last night and answer the question of how are you moving through these circumstances in life and staying awake? My answer was this, is that I believe it is so imperative for each of us right now to stay awake and alert to what we're creating, because it is an impactful time in human history. And the more we're awake in our conscious choices, the more we're able to move and participate as a global citizen. to stay awake, we must be in practice, which is why, hi Zin, I miss you so much. Zin, Zin, Zin. I wish I was there with you now. I'm there with you right now. So to stay in our practice is what keeps us able to stay awake. When we're practicing anything that keeps us centered, grounded to source, that's our practice. So whether you want to call it a spiritual practice, a self-care practice, we all have the opportunity to really stretch our practice when things get bumpy or when things get full. Maybe they're not bumpy, but they're full, and life is calling for more attention from us. To be attentive to life, we must be in our practice so that we're participating in a very conscious level. So part of staying in our practice, one tool that really assists me in that is that I call it the observation deck. Like, where are we hanging out in the observation deck versus getting caught up in reactionary patterns of our past, of our upbringing, of whatever we have going on with partnerships where we're in reaction and they're in reaction. That we, thank you, I love the sunflowers too, is that when we are awake and alert to observe patterns, we can change them. So when people have said to me before, oh no, this is who I am, it's just who I am, Kim, I can't change this, I don't agree. And what I tend to say, doesn't mean I don't listen, I listen from the heart, I catch where they're caught and ask if I could assist them to untangle that belief. All we have to do is be willing. But to be willing, we must observe the belief to then begin to untangle the belief and choose again. All that must be done with a very gentle, gentle heart. But if we're not in the observation deck, we can't even observe what we're doing. So that observation deck is the place that I'm referring to, where we observe our patterns and what we're doing versus react to them, judge them, and get on a train of reaction with someone else that takes us down a train crash. I'll tell couples, if two of you are reacting, then you're both jumped on the train of reaction, the train will crash and there will be some explosion. All of us know what that means, whether it's an argument in a household, whatever. If two people continue to react, it's going to crash. If one can step off the reactionary train and say, whew, we're going down a scary road right now, I'm going to choose to take a breath, to use my tools to not react, then we can alter the direction of the train. That is a place, hi Deborah, of being in the, hi Raquel, of being in the observation deck. The observation deck is a powerful, powerful, powerful place to be. You have choice when you're observing. At times, when you're observing your own patterns, it will be exhausting. It will be overwhelming. Hi, Gail. Thank you, Gail. It will be overwhelming to see the patterns and not react. I had a client yesterday, and she said, what do I do when I'm caught? And my partner has a certain way that he behaves, and I just jump right back into our patterns. And I said, it's imperative when you can observe it, like, whoa, there I go, I just got caught. If you can even observe yourself for a second, you can interrupt the pattern. And when you interrupt the pattern, it could simply be by a huge deep breath, like take a deep breath to create space to choose again. To do that, you must have the ability to practice living at times in the observation of your life versus being hooked by it. I hope this is making sense. So when I said this to this client, she said to me, well, how am I even going to begin that? Because I get caught and keep going. And I gave her some tools immediately. Yes, your breath is one of them. And the most important, to observe that you're doing it. If you know that you have that tendency, you could come in from the beginning of the conversation with an intention to stay centered, to stay clear, to stay open and receptive. When we are applying our practice, as we observe, we change patterns. I'm going to repeat that. When we are applying our practice, while we observe our patterns, we can change the pattern. If we're not observing it, and we're caught in it, we keep repeating it, whether it's reactionary patterns of fighting back with someone, whether it's reactionary patterns of being judgmental on ourselves or on another. Whatever our reactionary patterns are, we have a choice to clean them up. And right now, in the world, the cleaner we are individually, and I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about with our spiritual house. Where are we in our spiritual house? Are we solid, available to see the truth in the midst of circumstances? It is a time that people are reacting. The world's reacting. It is imperative in this time that we rise up in our practices. We can observe reactions, not judge them. We don't jump into judgment of, oh, look what they are doing. We come back to our center in observation. Take a deep breath. Know that there may be fear reactions occurring outside of us. The circumstances show that. And we get to keep remembering, what do I choose now? If I can observe what my pattern usually is, I could choose again. I could choose to not react, and I could choose to take a breath and think, what is my intention now? Just that. Observe. Pause. Kindly take a breath and choose again. You could switch the observe and pause to pause and observe. It doesn't matter to me. But it's the intention to just create space for spirit to bring in a new pattern that's more than you've known yourself to be, that will blow out of the water the old pattern so you have a new reality, which means you're living an awakened life. When we're living an awakened life, hi Jeffrey, we are available to keep growing and keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. I've had people look at me and say, I've done enough growing. I don't want to keep growing. We're here to grow. I want to be growing till my very last breath. I want to be taking my last breath knowing, whew, what did I just learn in that moment? Because there's so much in this precious incarnation to learn, to grow, to heal, to know, and to begin again. And where we are able to do that in our growing is to really observe our patterns. Take a deep breath and begin again, okay? I have a few things to read to you. First, I've talked about, I'm quoting from my book, The Technology of Intention, but I use a quote from one of my other favorite books that if you haven't read, it's called The Obstacle is the Way. It's a brilliant, brilliant book. I've been teaching pieces of it for years, and here's a quote from that book. He says, the obstacle in the path becomes the path. Hi, Lorraine. Think about that for a minute. The obstacle in the path becomes the path. What he's pointing to is whatever obstacle is in the path, how I'm determining that is when we observe it versus react and get caught in the obstacle. Think about that. If we have an obstacle in front of us and we get caught in the reaction of it, instead of seeing it as, oh, me growing through this obstacle is my path, we do that by choice and observation. Reaction keeps us out of choice because we're too busy reacting to the obstacle. Is this making sense? So when you look at it as whatever obstacle is before me, I talked about this a couple weeks ago on our lab, like the challenge are our growing edge. Welcome challenges is the same as his statement. The obstacle in the path becomes the path. Whatever is happening for us becomes our path. I was not meeting you in this field on Saturdays. Henry! Hi, Henry. I was not meeting you in this field of technology before all of this occurred, and I wasn't at Rythmia. Now we have this opportunity for me to meet you every other Saturday here, every Friday on our lab, in this field of consciousness. That means the obstacle, we weren't meeting in person, became the path. The path opened up to this. So what obstacle is appearing in your life right now, whether personal or out in the world, that you're seeing that is feeling like an obstacle to block you? Which obstacle is before you that if you rise up to the observation deck and look at it, thank you, Gail, for that, from the perspective of, let me see it instead of react to it, so I could take a deep breath, pause, ask, what is it that I need to know to begin again, and listen to spirit. And as you listen to spirit, you're going to catch the insight that brings you to your next inspiration and revelation. We are waking up every moment, but we must choose to surrender to our wake-up call. In that, we stay in the observation deck. Observe, respond, observe, heal, observe, learn a new pattern, acknowledge ourselves, and begin again and again and again. Every day, every moment, we have an opportunity to begin again. When we take that opportunity, we can drop judgment or regret or shame and gently love ourselves right on up to say, it's time to begin again today. Last week, and wonderful Gail is making point of this. Last week I had the amazing opportunity, 2 things in one day. One was to see, and I highly suggest you see this. I went to the premiere because I had a piece of a moment in this film that didn't hit the final cut, but the Thrive 2 film that's out that Rythmia is featured in is a wonderful film. And I suggest that anyone who hasn't seen it, please do. You could go online and order it up. Thrive 2, this is what it takes. Beautiful film and information we all need. And then after that, celebrating Kimberly and Foster and everyone at Rythmia, even though we were in Zoom land. After that, I had the honor of going to my own graduation with my fellow ministers in training and graduate as a minister from the Michael Bernard Beckwith School of Ministry. It doesn't sound like magic. I love it. It sounds like Hogwarts School of Magic. I love it. Anyway, in the charge that we were given, and I take this seriously and I'm sharing it with you, Reverend Michael looked at us and said, I'm going to tell you, you will fall. You will be viewed and at moments have people push hard against you, and you are going to have to stand in principle. And you will fall at times because it will be hard. And you will get back up and begin again. And then you might fall again. And you're going to get back up and begin again. That is all of our charges. That's a charge that's on our life right now. That each of us, every one of us, may fall. And it's our charge to get back up, to observe ourselves gently, lovingly, drop judgment, and ask, what is my intention now? What's my growing edge now in the midst of this obstacle? And begin again, over and over again. You've heard me in class say, we don't judge little children when they're learning how to walk. We don't say, what's the matter with you? Why haven't you learned how to walk yet? We say, come on, it's okay that you fell. Get back up, you can do it. Get back up, you can do it. And something happens when we come into our full bodies. And when we fall, we get hard on ourselves. Instead of knowing, I'm going to fall. And my charge is, can I observe my growing edge and gently love myself to begin again? So I bless you all this day to know that I welcome you to hang out in your own observation deck, to lovingly take a breath and see your patterns, not with judgment, not through the eyes of judgment, through the eyes of love and acceptance. And then gently, lovingly, joyfully begin again, over and over and over and over. And at the end of every day, please write acknowledgments to how amazing you're doing and being, so that as you rise the next day, your observation deck is a little clearer, a little more power and presence and beauty coming from it because you're seeing from the eyes of clarity. Okay, all of you, I'm going to bless you again like I did at the beginning, and wish you a magnificent, magical, beautiful weekend in observation and kindness and gentleness. How blessed I am, how blessed we are to be right here, right now, in this divine spaciousness of technology. Blessing each of us that are here presently, those that hear this at a later time, and that I'm blessing everyone that these words land upon. and those that these words don't, that there's still blessings enough for everyone, for the world and beyond. I bless us all with peace and harmony and joy and love and overflow, and that our observation decks are available for us to view from the eyes of love and the calm response of an awakened heart. How good it is to be alive and present. I'm grateful and I let it be. And so it is. Amen. Have a glorious day. I will see you so soon. And thank you, Henry. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, all of you. And I'm happy to see you. I'll see you soon.